Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. I hope everyone is enjoying their Friday and hopefully experiencing the unseasonably warm weather that we're having. I think perhaps we can start. So my name is Tseli Mosabesha, and I'm the project manager at Efficiency Canada. And today I'll be co-hosting with Kelsey. Kelsey, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Kelsey Brasil, and I am the project manager of the DiscoverEE Hub here at Efficiency Canada. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So first off, I'd like to start with a small land acknowledgement. Efficiency Canada is hosted at Carleton University's Sustainable Energy Research Centre, which is located on the traditional unceded lands of the Algonquin Nation. I myself am calling in from Tiohtià:ke, or Montreal, which is located on the traditional unceded lands and waters of the Kanien'kehá:ka Nation. So wherever you're calling us from today, we ask that you please take a moment to reflect on the land you're on. We'll post a link in the chat to whose land where you can get some more resources and learn a bit more about the significance of understanding the land you're on and what it means. With that being said, we have a great lineup of speakers here today who will share their insights, share their diverse experience in the sector, and hopefully provide you with some inspiration as you go about your day and your weekend. The event format's going to be a panel followed by a Q&A and then a special announcement. So I'll let each speaker introduce themselves in more detail, but for now, please welcome our esteemed panelists. We have Kirk Johnson, who's the president of Eco-Efficiency Consulting. Hi, Kirk. We have Sheri Young, who's a climate change and energy specialist at the town of Okotoks in Alberta. Hi to you, Sheri. And then we have Ricky Lee Watts, who's the youth lead program manager at Indigenous Clean Energy. So welcome, Ricky.
Thank you.
Welcome to you all, and thank you so much for agreeing to be on this panel today. So first question that I'll ask you all is, if you can take 2 minutes to please tell us a bit about yourself, your career arc, and how you got here. Would anyone like to volunteer to start?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sheri Young. I've been in environmental career since, I don't know how old I am, but since the early millennium, since the late 19th century, 20th century. And I started off as a remediation and reclamation specialist for oil and gas because Okotoks is in Alberta. And that's where a lot of us get our start. I started calculating greenhouse gases and air quality emissions and all sorts of things. And 15 years later, I decided to expand that. I realized I'd missed a couple of steps in a sustainability growth area. So I went back to school and learned a little bit about third generation sustainability, which includes energy and climate. And I am now the climate specialist in Okotoks. So it feels good to be on the front end of things and planning for the future and not.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sheri. Who would like to go next?
Hi, my name is Kirk Johnson. I'm president of Eco-Efficiency Consulting, and I've been doing this since 1989 when we started off doing, energy services retrofits and geo and things like that. And so I was working on the construction side of things and the retrofit side of things on the commercial basis. And then I realized there was just so much more to be done on the program side. So, we formed a company and we started working with clients that are municipalities and service organizations for training. And so we work on workforce development, like things that we did with Waterloo recently, energy advisor capacity building, which is some stuff that we did with the Veterans Association for their Veterans Energy Advisor program. And then there's things like, just helping people understand the process of climate change and decarbonization. And that's just reaching out to either landlords and renters that are inhabiting buildings in St. Jamestown and in multifamily buildings and helping them deal with resiliency issues and things like that. And so you've got, I think from my background, I've been lucky and fortunate enough to work inside governments, helping them with policy, with industry, helping them with programs, and with homeowners and stakeholders, helping them actually get their individual projects done. So that's a bit of background around myself, and I'm really looking forward to this particular moment in time to kind of take the pivot that we've got and gather momentum. So that's it. That's me.
That's really
Fantastic.
cool. Thank you so much, Kirk.
Thanks so much. So we're going to kick it off with a question, a little bit of reflection on your own.
Wait. Ricky Lee.
I'm so sorry, Ricky. Oh, no.
Oh,
please, Ricky, the stage is yours.
It's good.
Yeah, loving the words shared thus far, and a big thank you to CD and Kelsey for the invitation, and it's really great to be here with Kirk and Sheri, and to all of you for being here today on this Friday. Happy Friday indeed. I'm going to extend a bit of language as I'm learning a bit more in my introduction. I'll share Uklama Amitla, Kupachasat Nuchonothat Histachla Suma As. Should I share my Kuas name as Amitla, translating the Blessed One in Nuchonov? I'm Hukachasat Nuchonov from my mom's side, and my father's ancestry is actually unknown. I grew up Histachla Suma As. I grew up Suma As, Somas River, Port Alberni, so far west coast here on Vancouver Island. And my journey that has led me towards clean energy. I, as many of us do, pivot and learn. I think a great deal of challenges right from my early years, which gave me a lot of perspective. And I've carried forward in a capacity where I often aspired to be the role model I needed when I was younger. And this has carried me a lot with youth work, with my passion for the environment, with traveling, and bringing that all together. It came together quite beautifully where I joined the Indigenous Clean Energy team as of November 2020. And there was this concept, this idea of empowering youth in today's space and looking at how that is connected to the environment, to clean energy, and looking at our world right now with considerations of climate, of pandemic, of justice, and all these other challenges of what might we do in this very moment of time. I agree, it is a really beautiful moment we have right here as there is a bit of a momentum shift occurring, and happy to be a part of that movement, if we will, that change, and really carrying that forward. This program that I've been able to be a part of, turning this idea into a living reality and meeting great people such as yourselves and being able to share about these kinds of topics has been really, really wonderful. So happy to be here. Next question. Just kidding.
Thank you so much, and my apologies for that. So yeah, so our three lovely guests here today are our human energy champions, and we're so excited to have them here and ask them a few questions and learn from you all. So please, take as much space as you need to answer our questions today. And I'll also mention that we'll be asking a few questions, but then we'll also be opening it up to the audience. So feel free to drop any questions in the Q&A box, and we'll be sure to ask your questions as well. So to kick us off, what we'd like to do is ask a little bit of a reflective question around your background and your identity. So I'm gonna start off with a question. How has your background or identity influenced the way you approach work and your career? So maybe we'll start off with Sheri, and then I'll just kind of prompt through the next speaker. But Sheri, I'll give you some space to answer that one.
Oh, we're gonna start with the softballs, are we?
Yeah, just a real easy question.
Yeah, I feel, like I said, I spent my first 15 years in oil and gas in the boys club in Alberta, right? So it's, it's an interesting place, and I appreciate my privilege as an educated person, white person in a person majority. So I appreciate all that privilege, but I do know that, being a woman in energy and in an industry dominated by a lot of engineers, when I have a different kind of science background and that kind of stuff, is kind of taught me where I have to wait until I have all the information and where I need to speak up. And those things have really, really influenced where I'm going from here. There have been a lot of people that have reached out and stepped up and been brave. Some really good, I don't want to say mentors, but people along the way, guide points, I think. People who have just been really good wayfinding, right? They stood there and they held a sign and they said, this is the work to get here, and this is the work to get here. Where do you need to go? And I think that, when Didier and I were talking earlier in the interview, it was about, like, there weren't really mentors, but then later it occurred to me that there are waypoints, right? There are people who guide you and support you as you make choices and in your career. And I think that some of those people, some of the best people, have been women, and some of them have been men from various backgrounds, and who have been able to use their privilege and reach through and help me forward. So that's been amazing and has really helped. I was the first person in my family to get a university degree. We didn't have a lot growing up, and so it's amazing to be sitting here, talking to all of you with the adulthood that I've had, that is steps and bounds away from the childhood that I had. And I feel very grateful for all of that. And I also feel like it's influenced my idea of how to reach out and help lift others up. So because I see that path, sometimes when you've been in it for a while, I don't want to, Ricky, you're still quite young, but you're still like you've had a really good head on your shoulders. And I'm not going to date you there, Kirk, but you did bring up 1989. So, when you've been through it as long as we have, right, you have this perspective where you can look back and you can see the things that you couldn't see when you were 20, and you can see those people that are 20 or 25 that are less enlightened than Ricky, maybe that maybe need they can't see their way through, and you can reach through and give them a little bit of leg up and create some space for them to find a path that might be a bit easier than the one you traveled. So that sounds a little floofy, but that's kind of, and also science, but like.
And also science. Thank you so much, Sheri. Thanks for sharing. Ricky, I'm going to pass off to you. Anything you'd like to share on this?
Yeah, sure. Sheri, yeah, beautifully said. Thank you for that. And yeah, particularly with youth and where people are at in this day, and offering a bit of a pathway. And a little prompt here before I go deeper into my identity and background. There's the prompt being, I think what youth of today need, and people in general as humans, like we're looking for a bit of a destination, a possibility, a dream of what could be, someone to illustrate this, to create that vision. From there, it's the pathway to get there, the resources, the supports, the know-how, if you will, that pathway to get towards that new vision, perhaps of equity, sustainability, or a brighter future for our families and for our communities. With that pathway, it's then the confidence to take those first steps on that pathway towards that destination. With confidence, it's understanding there's a sense of belonging and feeling connected and overcoming systemic barriers and many other things like this, but a space in which we can cultivate confidence that we're in this together, we're not alone. We can be on that pathway towards that dream and illustrate and create a better future for our families and our communities and things like this. So I just wanted to share that. With my background identity, I think this has certainly influenced the way I stepped into my career and how I am today is two angles. One, with the challenge I had in my early years, I think this has informed my perspective where I seek to help empower, inspire, to share, to connect, and offer what I've learned from these experiences to other people. And as a Nuu-chah-nulth person, as an Indigenous person, there are two Nuu-chah-nulth principles that really I embody and help me guide me in the way I lead my life. They are, one is being Hishuk Ish Sawak, meaning we are all one, we are interconnected as humans, as all our relations and all systems, being interconnected in that way. Another is Isak, respect for all creation having a common origin. Again, playing on the semblance of interconnectedness. So I really believe in the interconnectedness, and I think this became further realized through two life experiences. One where I was paddling this outdoor leadership group, 10 days paddling by Nooka Sound, and then I was on Nooka Island, and I sat there on the cliffs and I heard the seabirds. I was exhausted, physically, spiritually, mentally, all of it. But it was one of the most blissful moments I had, where I recognized the beauty of nature and my desire to protect, to conserve, and that when I think of meaning and purpose in life, we run through, we carry through, we find that job, we try and support others, we chase whatever stimulus may come towards us, but to take a moment of presence and think about what is it that is important. And that for me was that reminder, bringing those principles of interconnectedness. And yeah, that is in a way what guides how I engage in my career and the work I seek to do. So it's good to be here, and I'm really loving this so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricky Lee.
Sweet.
Over to you, Kirk.
Well, I don't have as poetic a story as that. I have a long time working in this industry, but I want to actually focus a lot on the now and where we're going and the options that we've got, right? Because we've come a long way from, being the only person, women, Indigenous, BIPOC, underrepresented group in the room. Now we're in the room and we want to be an ability and have abilities to start deflecting the arc of history, such as our pursuant to our aspirations and the demographics that we represent, right? And so we're actually seeing funding becoming available like we were doing. And part of what made eco-efficiency is that we did a lot of targeting of underrepresented groups and making sure that they were represented out there. Now there's programs for that, right? Now there's opportunities for that. Now that's baked into ESG. It's baked into municipal standards. It's baked into how we design programs and how we purchase things. So all of the tools are available for us on the commercial side right now. And then we've got the battle of the minds on the residential and the homeowner side of things that we've got to sort of embark on. But I think that, let's take this moment in time that we're at right now and with the voices that we have, start applying pressure, because everything is out there. The seeds have been planted, but they need to be watered and they need to get sunshine and they need to be, pruned and groomed and things like that. So, let's make sure that those resources are available, right? Because I see great opportunities, but people get distracted. So if we kind of, keep the pressure on, I think we'll do fine on this. And I'll just kind of leave it at that and let it open up in the Q&A section, because I'm sure we'll have a lot there.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kirk. And thank you to Kirk, Sheri, and Ricky Lee. Building off what you just said, Kirk, about sort of applying pressure, right? Like, it's great that we have a lot of people that were the first in their industry, but now we're trying to tell a different story in the future. The next question kind of segues right into the next question, which is, why are you so passionate about workforce development in the sector, and what does it mean to you?
Okay. Well, I guess what it means to me is we've had different words for it, global warming, climate change, greenhouse gas reduction. Now decarbonization finally is a verb, we are decarbonizing, it's an active thing that we do, which is decarbonizing, right? And so with that kind of mindset, I think it's about making the financial elements through ESG play out and be baked in. I think it's, what I'm trying to do right now with the programs that I do is make sure that all of the terminology can kind of get distilled into one place, right? I would say that in terms of the voices, we have in Ontario, we have places where people can make their voices heard. And there's some beautiful things that are happening right now. If we look across the country on decarbonization, and every jurisdiction can say, well, we're doing great on this here, but Vancouver's doing some amazing things with step code over there. And you look at the financial things that are happening in Toronto and all of the financing stuff that Colleen's doing in Manitoba and Nova Scotia is doing with John and Efficiency One. Like, let's try and replicate those programs and extend those programs and even customize them. So that's what I'm up to these days, I guess, and also where I think things need to go. We don't have to invent from scratch anymore. We can start remixing and customizing and making right for the province or the neighborhood or the municipality level. And I think that's kind of the spot right now. Leave it at that.
Awesome. Thank you. So definitely just using the tools we already have in a smarter way. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to throw the same question next to you, Sheri. Why are you passionate about workforce development, and what does it mean to you?
Well, I'm an Albertan, and I know that is a dirty word in a lot of the country sometimes when it comes to conversations about climate. And but we are an energy-based province, and we take pride in that. I mean, we do a lot of other things that don't involve energy, but that's what we hang our hat on that one. And so I'm going to build on what Kirk said about redeveloping the tools that we have. We have some really, really brilliant people here in Alberta that have a lot of experience in developing different kinds of energy, right? So we have a ton of solar going in. It just doesn't get as much uptake. Kirk was asking, so I'll brag about it, about our Drake Landing facility in Okotoks here that turns 15 this year. And Drake Landing 15 years ago was a cooperative project for 52 homes to power them all with solar thermal. And that in the last 15 years, that has been powered 90 to 100% by solar thermal. So the technologies are there, the knowledge is out there, the skill set is out there. And I remember when I went to did my master's, because I was like, we need to do more science. This is why I made jokes earlier about, science. We need to do more science. And you get into it and you think, actually, the science is pretty set. I mean, we've got some good science out there. There's always stuff to learn. I'm not anti-learning. There's always new technologies, new things to learn. But there's a lot of science out there. It's where I think the work needs to be done is we need those people who are really good at change management to come in and be able to transfer those messages and find those value sets in our people and say, hey, this is okay. So we're going to put this question about climate change to the side. This is how you personally and your community are going to be impacted. This is how we can create a better life than the one you're living currently, while moving everybody forward, right? This is how we're going to hold everybody up, by listening to everybody, by making seats for everybody at the table, by ensuring that we are building a society that's not super efficient at one way, but makes space to be resilient in many ways, because we need all the solutions. We need all of the solutions, right? There's not a magic button to hit on this one. We need to do energy efficiency. We need to do renewable energy. We need to provide affordable housing for people. We need to ensure that all of the knowledge that's out there, traditional Western, is combined into where does this apply and how can we maximize the value of all of this information that we already have, right? And apply it towards making the world a better place. And there I go off waxing poetic again, but see, and science. But really, that's where we need to move forward, right? We have a lot of the science.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sheri. And last but not least, would you like to answer the question as well, Vicky Lee?
Yeah, sure thing. I've loved what both Kirk and Sheri have shared thus far. And I think looking at the passion for workforce development in the sector, and then what does that mean to me? I think I touched on it a little bit previously, but looking at my early experiences, there was a time where I didn't see much of a bright future, the Illinois future. And I think there's this personal passion that comes from wanting to help others see what might be possible in life if they may, whether they're in a very challenging space and having a difficult time believing in themselves or believing in any kind of future, to help, what's the word here, mold, empower, create space for that. And at the same time, I've also been a university recruiter where I see occasionally folks may go through school or through work experiences or training or whatever it may be, but nonetheless still seem to lack some sense of direction of what does this mean? What do I do next? The structure has been there, but beyond that structure, I need to decide what's next for me. How do I go beyond this? And I think folks are occasionally lacking a sense of a philosophy or purpose or meaning, or how do we direct people with we all have great capacity, but how do we direct this and where does it go? And I think, as I mentioned too, it's having that vision of that, there may be comfort right now, or folks may be challenged right now, but we can work together to create a brighter future. What does that mean? Let's work on that together. Let's identify what everyone's strengths are as a part of that journey, and then take those steps that are needed. And I think, that speaks a little bit towards my passion for this sector, and largely from my own experiences as a youth, and then my experiences through work and education. I just see there's a bit of a gap in wanting to help others in this space.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think now we're going to open it up to Q&A. So if people have questions, you can pop them in the Q&A box. I do see one from David Katz who says, we need to retrain the many people that we can bring to this industry. What type of courses should be offered in your opinion? Technical and also business and economics, similar to ones provided by Red Screen. What do you think?
All right. Hi, David. Can I answer that?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, there's a spectrum right now of what you want to, right? Like we are talking decarbonization, so that is smart grids, that is passive house, that is CHBA net zero homes, that's deep retrofits, that's like, working in the commercial sector, that's energy advisors, that's renewables people, that's smart plumbing, it's district energy, it's finance. So whatever faculty you're in right now, you can have a decarbonization lens, right? So, it's not just go into solar, right? It's any part of the energy efficiency industry you have an interest in, try and find the decarbonization angle, because there's funding, there's programs, and there's training with some very explicit gaps noted, but there is things that are becoming available there. So I would say start just putting decarbonization in front of everything and start seeing what starts popping up. And I believe the hub at the end will help you get yourself sorted out.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks for the plug for the hub. So I see that we're getting close to time. So we have one question we'd like to ask before giving Kelsey some space. So basically, the last question for all three of you would be, what advice do you have for those looking to work in the energy efficiency sector?
I want to build on what Kirk said. There's a space for you in every organization. So if you're a social worker, then and that's what you're interested in, then come to the conversation, learn a little bit about equity and energy poverty, and learn how energy efficiency can really affect people in your circle, vulnerable people in your circle. If you're an electrician, obviously we really need you in all of our stuff. If you're interested in politics or interested in poli-sci, that kind of stuff, then we really need lobbyists and people to be able to look at the policy and identify the gaps and where it needs to be moved forward. If you're a communicator, we need, like Kurt said, look at everything from a lens, right? Look where you can not spin, communicate your message from a way with the lens of where we're moving towards a more sustainable future. We're moving towards decarbonization. And this is how this story reflects into that, right? So there is a place in energy efficiency, in climate work for everyone. And I mean, there's a really great program in Alberta, and I'll take up too much space because I want to hear Ricky's perspective on this. But there's a program in Alberta that is for new grads, and it's called the Adaptation Resilience Training Program, and it's sponsored by a local company. And what it does is it reaches out to different companies and it says, hey, do you need a climate grad? And do you have a project you want to work on? And they provide that person to you for free. So no matter what their background is, the training is for them to learn how that background applies to climate science or climate policy, to go do some research at that company, provide support for a project, and then go back into their world, into the rest of their career. They also develop some Climate 101 courses for people in the middle of their career who can go back and look at those courses, and maybe they didn't get climate science or climate courses in school. And we've passed that out to everybody in our organization to just give them a primer on the way to move forward. So I think that look for those tools out there. I'm sure there's lots in the hub, as Kirk said, and I know that you guys are building on that here at Efficiency Canada. But there's lots of, to build on what I said before, there's lots of information out there. There's lots of science. Network, I think network is incredibly important. I think LinkedIn's a fabulous space for people. I'm sure there's things I'm missing or whatever else, but I've been able to connect with some great people through LinkedIn, and I'm happy to actually add new career people or people looking for switches in their career or advice to my friend group in LinkedIn, because the bigger our network is and the more people we have talking about this, the more successful we'll all be.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, thank you. Please go ahead, Ricky Lee.
All right, cool. I'll jump in quickly just to reinforce a couple of things too. I think, as Kirk mentioned, that decarbonization lens, and then Sheri, I'll reinforce too, like it's my full agreement, whether it's communications, policy, engineering, science, psychology, whether it's even an artistic background, but the idea of applying this lens is so open it's a matter of all folks. Energy involves all of us. We're all connected to energy. Our computers here, the lights that we use, and just the energy we carry forward in life. And how do we involve that with our career? I think anyone can do so. And in addition, I think it's pursuing what it is that you are curious about, that you're interested in, that adds a bit of that spark and helps drive that motivation for wanting to learn more, to connect with others, to engage in the space, to be at sessions like this, to get a bit of a better understanding and perhaps be inspired by these kinds of conversations. And I also go further by saying, like, the DiscoverEE Hub, or nationally as well, there is, for Indigenous youth, there's Generation Power, the program I lead, or Eco Canada, or Electricity Human Resources Canada have different internship opportunities. Folks are curious and want to get a taste for what it's like in these kinds of career spaces. And I'll pause there.
Okay. I'd love to, build on what everyone on the panelists said, and also indicate that there's some very specific places right now that are going to have some big spurts in demand, right? One is on energy modelers, the other is on energy advisors, the third is going to be on ESG, right? And so those are three spaces specifically where you can sort of apply yourself and say, is there a role for me? There's some great organizations like Energy Efficiency Canada, and also for like the Black Environmentalists Association that are doing some really good stuff as well to kind of reach out and build inclusion there. I'd also say that looking forward, we've got, we want to change the mindset. Like it's not a technical mindset anymore, right? It's very much a strategy approach and understanding that we need to work on our soft skills. So a lot of what we're doing with workforce development is helping people on their soft skills, because you need that to get the job and build the network and do all the great passionate things that you want to do. So the last thing I want to leave you is, yes, you definitely need to get your NRCan EA exam or your CAGBC exams or your red screen stuff, or get all that stuff house in order, but also work on your soft skills and find out which industries are growing, and also know that there are going to be some industries that shrink, particularly if they're going to be relying on automation. So don't go in blind thinking it's all going to be amazing. There are going to be some sectors that are going to go like this and others that are going to go really big. You want to be on the right side of that pivot. Okay? I'll just leave it there. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much to all of you. And now I'm going to pass it over to Kelsey to give us a little sneak peek or something.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That was actually like so helpful, even for my own work, to hear like how all of you think about workforce development, and also like what's needed, and how you see helping the future get into this sector. That's like really what the hub is really trying to do. But the hub is just a tool, right? It really needs to be fueled with these types of conversations and have exposure to people who are curious, and making it easy for them to find the right path for them. I will say that my pup was quiet, sleeping this whole time. And of course, as soon as I'm about to do a demo, he's like, so we'll see how this goes. So what I'm going to do today is show you a little bit of a sneak peek on the DiscoverEE Hub, which is live, but also a new feature, which is a job board that links to the whole experience. Because I'd love for anybody who is hiring to have this as a tool to find the right people to get into roles in energy efficiency. I'll play with the example of energy advisor just because that came up today, and it is going to be a role that is in high demand. So if anybody's on the call that's curious about different roles, that's definitely something that I encourage you to look into. So this is the homepage here. We encourage people to explore the site, explore different roles in energy efficiency before you even, try to choose one. Really align them with your interests and skills, and then see kind of, who are the people in this space, who are the organizations that are training, hiring, and shaping this role, and then ultimately, what's required of me to become this role. Then you kind of go into this connect phase, which is actually in a whole portal where you're able to join virtual campfires and connect with folks. You're able to journal and share reflections like we did today around, some crucial pieces around workforce development, maybe some nuances around your role and the future of it. And then finally, there's this opportunity to take action. So that might be actually, signing up for the courses that you need, or applying for the job if that's something that you're ready to do. So if somebody who is interested in a role, they're actually able to click in and see real faces from the sector. Some of them are, people that we've featured in our human energy, but a lot of them are trainers, employers, and people who are either seeking this role or already in it. So it almost becomes this like guild around a role where you can kind of build some relationships with the people who are passionate about this and have questions or have the answers. So you can find, people who are looking to be guided, and then people who are here to guide. You'll also find different resources like the stories, as much as, the career path is important. I think it's also important to hear how people have gotten into this role, what the day in the life is like, and all that. So you can go through here and find the relevant courses, and all that. As soon as you click on something, you're prompted to sign up and join the community. So that's how that works here. You can see, you know, what's been said, who's talking, who's sharing, what questions are being asked. And then in this group here, there's about 50 or so people who have joined and starting to have conversations. And then ultimately, the reason that we're here today and that I'd love to, you know, scream from the mountaintops is that we have a job board that eventually, you know, would link somebody right to real roles that are open and ready for hire. So once they've gone on their journey, they have, you know, the obvious next step of finding the job for them. So what we're asking employers to do right now is hop on over to jobs.discoveree.ca and actually share, you know, the job openings that you have going on in your company right now, so that we can then do the heavy lifting of linking them to the roles in the hub and also promote it publicly to try to find the best people for you. So it's much more than a job board. It's kind of giving people that full holistic experience, but we can't do it without your help, because we want to make sure that we have the job postings available for the job seekers. So this is my very warm welcome and invitation to hop on over and start, you know, sharing the opportunities that are happening in your organization. And all you have to do to post, it's completely free as we're in this launch phase, is this blue button here, post a job, and it'll prompt you through a regular listing. And then you just go through the process of actually creating your listing, and you're able to link it to like your website or an email, like however, like whatever makes sense for you. So it's not like another thing you have to manage. You can kind of link it right into however you're looking to do your recruitment. So then once you have your listing, you post it, and then we will do the linking in the hub and all the behind the scenes work and help find the right people for you. So I'll stop there because we're very close to time and we don't want to cut into anybody's afternoon. But what I'll do is share a few links, unless CD's been doing that as well. No, I'll do it. Here we go. That's the job board there. And then I'll also put in my email, because I really do encourage anybody who might have questions or comments or feedback to reach out, and I'd be happy to help you. And yeah, very excited. It's been so amazing connecting with partners on this. We have like 113 organizations that have put up their hand and said, yep, let's do this. Like, let's all be in one place and get people in the sector and get them into the right roles. And it wouldn't be possible without any of you. So I really do. It's been so amazing getting to know the sector. And it's like so exciting to welcome more people in, because it's needed and it's such a purposeful sector. I know I don't have to tell that to all of you because we're all in it. So yeah, with that, I will say thank you. And thank you to Ricky Lee and Sheri and Kirk and CD. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, if you have any other questions for us, just give us an email and we'll be sure to get back to you. But with that, we'll send you on your merry way to your afternoons, and have a great day and a great weekend.
Have a good one. Thanks.
Big thank you, everyone. Take care.